Hello everyone, Nathan P. Butler here, and this is another of our content overview videos for Final Girl. In the past, we've taken a look at all the previously existing products, all the way up through those alternate Series 1 miniatures. I thought that the next video was going to be about Season 3, but they threw us a curveball, and there was actually a product that was released through a special pledge manager immediately after the Series 3 Kickstarter ended, going into the holiday season of 2023. We're going to be taking a look at that. That is the North Pole Nightmare. Now, full disclosure, this isn't a review, so I don't imagine it will matter, but yes, I am now a playtester for Series 3 of Final Girl, and this was provided by Ryder Games. So, the Series 3 Kickstarter for Final Girl launched on September 19th, 2023, and it funded pretty much immediately at its $300,000 target. It eventually went on to raise $1.8 million, but we'll talk about that more in various stretch goals when we look at Series 3. But they had this big build-up to the idea that there'd be something special, kind of a big funding announcement when they reached their funding goal, probably on that first day. And sure enough, that announcement was this. That after the campaign was over, they had a special product in the wings. That they had created this in the background, secretly. And this was actually already on its way to or at various shipping hubs internationally. After the campaign was over, having backed the campaign at different levels would provide access and discounts on purchasing this in a separate special early pledge manager immediately after the campaign ended, before the regular pledge manager for Series 3 would launch. The idea is that this is going to be available at retail. The retail price will be $30. Anyone who backed the Kickstarter campaign, and only the Kickstarter campaign, it does not include those who late pledged, and it also does not include anyone who just backed at, say, $1 and was going to upgrade their pledge later in the pledge manager. Anyone who actually pledged a pledge level from a la carte on up, a la carte being one feature film from Series 3, would have access to that special GameFound pledge manager to order this. Anyone at any of those pledge levels started out with being able to purchase this for $15, half price. However, at the $900,000 stretch goal mark, that price dropped from $15 to $10 for anyone who had backed of the level of all of the feature films of Series 3 on up, not the a la carte level. It was basically anyone who was eligible for so-called standard stretch goals would get the discount. We'll talk about the stretch goal structure when we talk about Series 3. Then at $1.6 million, it happened again. It dropped by another $5 to $5. So anyone at that feature films of Series 3 level on up got it for $5. Anyone at a la carte got it for $15. But you had to take advantage of that special pledge manager access to get it. Otherwise, you'd be waiting for retail. And this is not a regular Final Girl box. You'll notice here some foil to the logo. What is going on with this? Well, this is not actually a feature film that is part of Series 3. It is the first of a new line called Special Features. And Special Features do a few things that we would normally see with season sets, but which instead in this case are all packaged within one box. So let's take a look here. We'll go into detail on exactly what makes this a special feature rather than a regular film as we go. So we have Final Girl here in foil. That is one thing that will denote this as a special feature. It doesn't say special feature on the cover here, but that is one key. This is the North Pole Nightmare, and we have our killer listed here, Krampus, the Horned Devil. This is created by AJ Porfirio, the lead designer behind Final Girl, and the director of photography, Vincent, I believe it's Dutrait. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but that's close, hopefully. We have our Ryder Games logo over here, and that is one of our Final Girls, as we will see, Mrs. Claus. The spine, Final Girl, again, foil, the North Pole Nightmare, Krampus the Killer starring Krampus, and featuring the location here, Santa's Village. Flip it to the other side, essentially the same information, except of course presented horizontally with the Ryder Games logo, kind of what we would see with a normal feature film box. The bottom here has our one player, 20 to 60 minutes, age 14 plus, all the legalese and UPC and all that with nothing on top. The back reveals our other Final Girl and the location here. Same general setup here, except needing this to be longer, so we have these vertically oriented instead of horizontal here. But Santa's Village is going to be the location. It is a Christmas-themed box, and this is Cindy, the elf here, as our other Final Girl. So first, let's check out the sheet here. This will be on the back when it's in shrink wrap, just with some information here for you. Slay, S-L-A-Y, bells ring in Santa's village. Krampus has devised a plan to spread evil presence around Santa's village, knowing that the elves will be unable to help themselves from seeing what's inside. Of course, he's putting out a few of Santa's presents as well, just to keep the elves from becoming too suspicious. There's no telling what awaits Santa's little helpers as they eagerly crack open their shiny new gifts. The North Pole Nightmare is the first special feature for Final Girl. Unlike normal feature films, a special feature includes a red foil logo, miniatures, and an epic finale card. More about that in a moment. It does have the usual notice that this is not a standalone game. You need the core box to play. It lists what is included. We'll actually be taking a look at all of those things here. Ryder Games, all the legalese and address, all that kind of stuff. Same stats we saw just a moment ago, UPC, and all that. I would note here before we dive too much into the contents, this is also something that was in the package when it shipped. It's not actually part of the game, but a lot of folks have been showing these on places like the Board Game Geek forums and the Facebook groups and all. So just so you know what this is, it says, "You've been naughty." And it just has a link here in case you have any problems with your order to go through customer service. And on the back it says Krampus's Christmas hit list, and just lists the 2 final girls here. So it's kind of a promotional thing. Hey, here's the information you need in your package in case you have any issues. It's not a game component or anything, but a lot of folks have been thinking that it might be because of what they see on this side. So let's take a look first at the Santa's Village side. Of course, we have our magnetic flaps here, which give us our map. So first off, here's our map. This is Santa's Village. It has places for 3 item slots, 3 locations with items, which is pretty typical. The setup slot up here. The item places are going to be Santa's Workshop, which is right here, the stables, and Santa's house. We have a village center, and basically it's just like a North Pole location here. You've got your exits here in the corners, except for the northeast corner there. So 3 exits, 3 search spaces, pretty standard stuff. Generally speaking, this is a pretty straightforward location here as far as special rules go. Really, the only special rule has to do with the victims. There's no special setup, and essentially the victims are all Santa's elves, and they will not shut up. So the idea is that when you move into a space containing normal yellow victims, so no special victims, but normal yellow victims, you have to lose 1 time for each victim that is there. It's only in those specific circumstances when you enter space with the victim, however many victims are there, you lose 1 time each. So if you're taking them with you, that's not an issue. If they go in there when they panic or something, that's not an issue. Just if you move in there. The idea is that they're just kind of talking your ear off, and it's slowing you down in what you're trying to do. So maybe for someone who's looking for a beginner set, this would be a good one to start with. We have the art there of Santa's Village. I am going to move this back. We have our standard trays here. I haven't sleeved anything yet. We have our standard tray here. And in the tray, we have our large cards, our small cards, and so on here. So we're going to start with the tarot cards. As is often the case, there are 8. The symbol for Santa's Workshop is the star from the top of a tree. We have fire! Public execution. Darn! The elves are fighting back. Something is happening. Elf hunt. Santa, where are you? Where did it go? And prayer vigil. We have the typical 5 setup cards. So we have Reindeer Games, Toys, 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 Story Time, Gather Round, and Back with Lumber. And you can see here what I mean as far as the layout there. It's a little easier maybe to see on this than on the map itself. But you get your central space, got some on the ends here, but it's mostly kind of circular, working its way outward. You have 10 event cards, kind of the standard again. Our 3 that use special victim meeples. We have It's Santa, yes, Santa Claus, Head Elf, and Yeti. Okay, Christmas theme for the different Christmas specials and whatnot. Then we have Tree Lighting Ceremony, Caroling, Northern Lights, Coming in for a Landing, Christmas Eve, Busy, 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 ouch, draw 2 event cards, and then Blizzard. You'll actually notice, we'll come back to Blizzard in a second, but notice here, Busy, Busy, Busy is going to pull 2 other event cards out. You also notice a few of the terror cards tend to pull events, so it's a little more of an event-heavy location. And then Blizzard has the little tokens involved here. And basically, you place a Blizzard token in each space adjacent to the village center, so kind of around the center there. During each upkeep phase, that's the last part of a turn, Move each Blizzard token one space clockwise in the spaces surrounding the village center. You may not move into a space with a Blizzard token. Now, it's these tokens here, there are 2 of them. So essentially, notice the adjacency here is really just these 2. So essentially, you'll have one out here, and then they work their way around this sort of ring of spaces here. As to the item cards, we have 18 of these. We have Workshop Hammer, twice. Milk and Cookies, twice. BB Gun, Red Wagon, sensing a theme here. Santa's Sack. No Mrs. Claus jokes, just keep going. Candy, Whistle, Tree Star, Ice Skate, Snowballs, ×2, Woodcutter's Axe, Slingshot, Pepper Spray, and then we have 2 that are going to use tokens. We have Misfit Toys with the tokens, we'll come back to in just a second, and Comet with a token. Now, I mentioned there were 3 different exit spaces. There's one of these for each exit space. That's where they start when you use that item. And they basically, at the end of each turn during that upkeep phase, they move one step closer to the killer. And eventually, if they are actually in the space with an enemy, you discard it to deal 1 damage to that enemy. Notice it moves towards the killer, but they can damage minions. There just don't happen to be minions in this set. But if you're playing with, a set that actually has minions, it does use the enemy terminology, not just killer. Killer for targeting, enemy for dealing damage. Now, as far as Comet goes, Comet has the ability once per turn to move you directly to the runway. That is this space way over here to the east. But no victims can follow you. But it's a nice way to very quickly move across the map. And one thing that makes this a special feature is that because it's not part of a series, it will not have any miniatures in one of those vehicle packs for a particular series. So it actually comes with the Comet, because on the bottom, the Comet miniature in the package. I would note, by the way, there are 4 miniatures in this package, and typically the Final Girls are included with the killer side of a package, but because there are 4, one of the Final Girl miniatures is on the other side. They just made sure that each one of them fits into one of these with little padding for shipping, so don't freak out if you open one side and you think you're missing a miniature or have an extra miniature. It balances out once you've opened up the entire package. Then we have the other side, which is the Krampus side. Krampus the Horned Devil. Nothing particularly unusual with his board. Sort of the standard health track with a starting health of 10, starting horror of 4, places for the finale and the dark power. The regular bloodlust track over there, spaces for the minor dark powers. Nothing particularly unusual here. That said, as we look at his rule sheet, it is a little more detailed with special rules compared to Santa's Village, and we will dive into how that works here as we go through it. So first, let's start with the 16 Terror cards. We have 2 copies of Cursed Caroling, 2 copies of A Silhouette in the Distance. Notice the Horned Devil symbol there. 2 of Coal Balls, 2 of Jingle Kills, 2 of The Claws Are Out. And then we have our one-offs. Oh no, he's disguised as Santa. It has what? And Down Through the Chimney, followed by the 3 minor dark powers, Demonic Will, North Pole Magic, and Anti-Christmas Spirit. Oh my gosh, there's a war on Christmas! For the record, my favorite here has got to be It Has What. Basically, it allows Krampus to get a weapon that you could normally get, but now he gets it and gets to use it against you. Oh crap. As is the case with any of the feature films so far, we have the dark power cards with the bottom half of the character art there, and as is the case, as unlocked with stretch goals and whatnot for seasons 1, 2, and 3, there is an epic dark power in here, just automatically included, but it would be included in any of the other feature films. We have Explosive Gifts, Blood and Cookies, Tantalizing Gifts, and Never-Ending Gifts. He then has his finale cards. We'll see what that symbol means here in just a moment. We have Bamf, Soul Lust, Unholy Gifts, and as a special feature, the epic finale, Past Midnight, is included in the box. For the individual series of the game, not special features, the epic finales would be in the bonus feature box for that series, typically either sold separately or inside the storage box. But here, it's included in the special feature automatically. So what is up with this icon? Well, you notice here, so he starts out targeting a victim or final girl, whoever is closest, attacking, but not moving to get there, then targeting again, and moving towards them, but not then attacking. But then notice the last step in this regular killer action is this present symbol. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take a die, and you're going to roll it, and you're going to use the number on the die the same way you would for panicking to determine where Krampus leaves a present token. So for example, if I'm in the village center, if I roll a 1 to 3, it's going to go over here, 4 to 6, it's going to go over here, and so on. Just the same way you would panic a victim. And he's going to place one of these tokens in that space, unless there's already one there, and then he won't do anything. Those tokens represent things that will happen if you open that gift. And basically, when a final girl enters a space with a gift, even if they're just passing through, they may open the gift. Do it or not, it is up to you. If you do it, the effect happens immediately, and you continue going if you were just doing it along the way somewhere, kind of like saving a victim as you move through an exit space. And many of these are not good. There are 2 that raise bloodlust by 1. There are 2 that raise horror by 1. There are 2 that discard the next terror card, which gets you 1 step closer to the finale, and there is 1 that costs you 2 time, which sucks on top of already losing time every time you move into a space with one of these annoying elves. There are 2 that are fairly positive, kind of standard stuff, to reduce horror by 1 or gain 2 time. And then there are 4 each that reference a new type of present card that allow you to draw a special type of card and do its effect. Generally positive for Santa's presence, generally negative for Krampus's presence. And that is where some more cards come in. You have 4 Santa presents that are shuffled and set aside at the beginning of the game for whenever you draw the token with that symbol. There are 4, 1 for each token, so we have 2 copies of a gift from Santa. That you draw 2 items at random for those that were set aside during setup that didn't wind up in the item decks. You keep one and discard the other, that's nice. A letter from Santa lets you reduce horror to 0, the lowest spot on the track, that's nice. And a snack from Santa, which lets you either recover all health or gain time equal to your current health. Great stuff. On the other hand, there are the Krampus presents here for when you draw that symbol. We have demonic suggestion. Basically, it makes them go kick someone's ass. Then there's horrifying vortex. And as we will see in just a second, victims can open presents too, and if a victim opens this, they're basically just sucked into a vortex and they're gone, and this effect happens. But if you open it, you're being pulled into it, and any of these things will happen. 2 of them, they're all bad, but 2 of these bad things in order to basically close and destroy the vortex. Discarding an item, replacing your final health token with a white final health token, meaning that if you get reduced to 0, there is no flipping over to see if you have any health left, that's just it. Increasing horror by 2, or discarding 3 cards from your hand. Ouch. Then you have Killer Surprise, which is kind of like a surprise attack that you can't defend against. Krampus teleports essentially into the space where the present was opened, attacks either you or the victim, whichever is present there, again, favoring victims if in that space with you, or you if you're the only one there, and then does attack, and you can't play reaction cards if it's you that got targeted. Then you have one that actually has its own little token to go with it here with that symbol on it. Easily mistaken for a present token, but it is open on both sides, so you can tell which it is. And it says Repelling Force. Basically, you drop that token there, and nobody can be there. You keep rolling die and panicking everyone who's in that space until they're all gone, all the victims, that is. And if you enter the space, you lose a health when entering that space. So basically just a repelling force to kind of keep anything away from that particular presence location. And notice I did mention who opens it. As I said, the final girl gets a choice when she moves into the space. She could open it or not. She can even do it along the way. Either way is fine. A victim, though, whenever a victim is in the same space as a present, no matter how they actually got there, they open it immediately. They walk in there, they panic in there. Even if they're coming with you, following you, they get to open the present because they do it immediately. You don't even have a choice in the matter. So be careful when you're moving with victims into a space with the present, because they're gonna open it no matter what. If it's a Santa present, one of these, then it just gets discarded. Essentially, the little elf kept it and screwed you over, so you get no benefit out of it whatsoever. a Krampus present, you still resolve it as usual. And in any other case, the effect does affect you, even if you're not in the same space. With the idea being that, say, there's a elf halfway across the board that flips a token for a present that increases bloodlust, well, that affects your Christmas spirit, and therefore, yes, the bloodlust is rising, or the time is lost, or whatever it might be. But hey, you could also get those couple of beneficial ones. So generally speaking, if you're going after presents, you should be the one doing it, not the sacrificial lambs of the victims, because if the victims do find something great, you won't get it. But if they find something bad, or relatively tiny and good, then that would still happen. Whereas if you're the one moving around trying to do it, at least if you find a Santa present, you're getting the full benefits of that powerful effect. Now again, because this is a special feature, it won't have any miniatures for Final Girls or Killers in any series miniature box. So instead, it has the Krampus miniature right here in the box, pre-packaged. Then we have our two new Final Girls. We start with Cindy. Cindy has a health of 5, only 4 victims saved to unlock her ultimate, but notice that they all have the same reward, move 1 space, so very good for movement here. Cindy's ultimate, when unlocked, actually is also related to movement. When resolving a walk or sprint action card, you may treat a no success result as a 1 success result for each additional victim saved, plus 1 time. And again, since there is no miniature pack for miniatures to be in for an entire series here, because it's a special feature, as a special feature, her miniature is already included, here with her little workshop hammer that she's hanging onto there. Then we have Mrs. Claus. She's basically a health powerhouse, which makes sense. Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus have been around seemingly forever, so it makes sense they'd have extreme longevity. So a health of 6, and every one of her 4 victim save spaces, so both these are fairly easy to unlock the ultimates on, gives you health, either 1 or 2, depending on which one you're using here. Basically, she has a full extra set of health of her 6 right here as she builds it up. But again, you can't go over your max, so basically if she takes hits, she can build up, and essentially, if she unlocks all of these, she's had 200% of her normal health throughout the game, just with that. But then she also has, as her ultimate, recover all health. You no longer have a maximum health limit. So this is one of these things where you'd flip it, the ultimate would trigger once to give her all her health back, and then she has no maximum health limit, so then if she were to heal, she could heal beyond 6, in that case being somewhat like Ratchet Lady in that regard. And for each additional victim saved, recover 1 health. So again, flip it over, keep saving, keep building the health. She can become essentially the strongest health-wise Final Girl in the entire game. And of course, she has her miniature with her cloak here, the long hair, the big-ass rolling pin here. She really does come off looking kind of like a superhero, which I guess fits with her health there. Now, the last thing that I want to show, of course, is the typical spoiler of an item that comes in each of these packages, but is considered at least a minor spoiler for anyone who is into Final Girls. So if you're just looking for what is in North Pole Nightmare in terms of its regular material and how it plays, well, now you've seen everything there is to see. If you'd like to see what the secret envelopes contain, well, stick around, we'll take a look at those, but those are minor spoilers, so we're holding them here for the end. If you don't want to see those, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the North Pole Nightmare. If you're sticking around, let's dive into both of the envelopes. As per usual, they all say, for whoever's eyes only, Mrs. Claus's or Cindy's. They do have the little notice here about don't open until you've survived a game with that character that was added for Series 2 and beyond. That includes second printings and onward of Series 1. Each one includes the standard little sheet here naming the item and telling you how to use it and how to make sure it actually shows up in your game if you do plan to use it. Then you have the items themselves, but of course are represented with them in their miniature as we saw. So Cindy has the Cindy's Workshop Hammer. Range of 0, so you gotta be in the same space, adds 1 to an attack, takes up 1 hand slot here, and it says, you do not lose time when entering a space with victims. That's awesome. You may spend 1 time during the action phase to panic everyone else in your space. It says, shush, I hold the hammer. So this avoids that penalty from Santa's workshop, moving around with the elves constantly pestering you and causing you to lose time, and you can just swing this sucker around, or at least brandish it, to scare the shit out of them, and they get the hell out of your space. Then for Mrs. Claus, we have Mrs. Claus's rolling pin. You must roll constantly and consistently. Again, range of 0, damage addition of 1, one hand, so the same in that regard to the hammer. If you've already damaged the target this turn, treat the damage modifier as 2 for the rest of the turn. So basically deal some damage, then use this on a subsequent attack, and you get 2 damage instead of 1. So there you have it, folks, the surprise edition of a brand new special feature, the first of the special features for Final Girl here, with the North Pole Nightmare featuring Krampus and Santa's Village. Again, it's coming to retail for $30. If you back the Kickstarter, hopefully you've already either got yours or put in your order so it is on your way to you. I look forward to seeing more of these special features in the future. This really kind of threw me because no one knew this was coming, but pretty sweet stuff and a great little addition here as we head into the Christmas season of 2023. We'll be back with the next round of Final Girl content, which will probably be the Series 2 alternate killer miniatures, if those are released prior to the fulfillment of the Series 3 Kickstarter. Thanks for watching. Try not to die.